Welcome to Scatter Shots. It's so nice to be with you today, and I would like to talk just a moment about public speaking. Speaking is so intriguing to so many people. Some people say that the thought of speaking or making a speech is the most frightening thing that they could ever think happening to them. And then others are longing or enjoying doing it. And I'm just going to say, well, so now I believe I'm talking to folks that I'm going to say you enjoy speaking. Well, let me tell you that if you enjoy speaking, that's only half of it. That's only half. The crowd is the other half. And that's where the rub comes in, as they would say. The crowd has to enjoy it. And it's kind of easy for us to enjoy speaking, but we've got to be sure that the crowd enjoys it. I read somewhere many years ago where when a person became prominent in their locality, they would send someone, if they looked like they had some extraordinary ability, they would send a representative to their town, but they never contacted them, the prospective speaker. They went to a hotel, rented a room, found out what time the speaker was going to be on the local station, and they would turn on the TV at the proper time, but the person who was doing the speaking did not know that a representative was there, and there was a possibility of him becoming great or famous or more well known. And so he would turn the TV on, but he would not turn the volume up. He left the volume down, and he watched the person speak. And as that person was speaking, unless he did something, unless he projected himself in such a way, unless he showed some kind of something that caused emotion in the representative that had come to observe him, unless he did that, this representative never turned the TV volume up. He just turned the volume, he just turned the TV off and left. And the person that was doing the speaking never knew that he came. Well, I don't know how to explain that, but I think that I have seen speakers and heard speakers that did not have enough life. If I can make you want to speak better, you probably will. If I can put some enthusiasm and emotion. Speakers love other speakers. They just love to hear other speakers speak. One time I heard a man in Louisiana. The Longs in Louisiana was quite a dynasty. And Earl Long Most of you have probably heard or read of him in history. He was quite a person, very unique. And he hired a man from Baton Rouge by the name of Clemens to speak for him. And so I saw Mr. Clemens on the back of a regular old big truck in Manny, Louisiana, as he was up on the back of that truck speaking on behalf of Earl Long. And the old farmers were all around listening to him talk about Earl Long and his kindness and his ability and what he could do for them. So then all of a sudden, Mr. Clemens stopped and looked way off in the distance. And he said, "From the night that covers me, from black as a pit, from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods there may be for Earl Long's unconquerable soul." And I saw old farmers wiping their eyes. And I knew then why they hired him as a speaker. The only way to learn to preach or speak is to preach or speak. You have to be willing to go through some sort of a process, and it oftentimes takes a while. I have seen people just get up and start talking, and you didn't know where they're going, didn't know where they'd been. Let me say that when you are speaking, you must be thoughtful. And you can throw your thoughts out quite rapidly. But yet at the same time, we must be controlled and yet loose. Someone said, I believe it was Philip Brooks, said, the highest compliment is not how homiletical it was, but did it move people to a closer walk with God? Did it bring them closer to the kingdom of God? Preparation is so important. Now, I have seen people spend weeks on one speech and one sermon, and they stay awake all night long getting ready for Sunday morning. I really don't think that's the best. Let me say it like this. I think sometimes we have to do what they used to say, fly by the seat of your pants somewhat. You've got to believe that if you've got some things down that are honest and good and right and exciting, that you're just going to receive inspiration. And you'll probably be shocked at what God will give you on your feet that you didn't never think about. It comes to you, but you have to relax and just believe that it's going to happen. You have to trust yourself. And of course, you have to trust God. I want to ask you a question. Could you change the message that you were going to preach on Sunday if God wanted you to? I think we always have to be willing to change the message if God so deems it. I remember I had studied a lot more than usual one day, and I had made more notes than I probably had ever made for one message, and I felt like I was ready, but yet at the same time I knew that I had a kind of a maze of notes to walk through. But I left my office, and as I was going to the platform, on the way I had to come through the kitchen area of the church. And God spoke to me in the way that He does me. He impressed me, in other words, to say this, this, and this. 3 things. And I put away my notes. And when it got time to preach, I preached about the 3 things, just simple things. And there was a lady came to the altar, and God so marvelously filled her with the Spirit of God. And in her testimony, she said, my friends, when I started to come home to visit my grandmother, they said, oh, don't go to that church, because they're going to tell you this, this, and this. And that happened to be the 3 things that I had preached. I saw her not too long ago. She was happily married. She had grown children, and they were filled with the Spirit of God. Some of them were in the service, serving the country. Yes, it is so good. I think that if you desire to be a speaker, that's one of the greatest callings in the world. But we can't just say, well, we'll open our mouths and the Lord will fill it, because He fills it with hot air when we don't have anything to say. And we have to come to the place that we totally have confidence in God and also in our abilities. God bless you. Looking forward to seeing you next time.